from California and a member of the Oversight Committee. Congressman, it's nice to see you in person.
Good to be here.
On the TV screen. And let me start with the news of the day this morning, what our sources are telling us. The 4 Trump administration officials will be no-shows today. 2 of them had defied subpoenas. We don't know if the other 2 have as well.
Well, it's the height of hypocrisy for the president to be asking the whistleblower to testify and then not allowing his own administration officials who were actually involved in the illegal conduct to testify. And executive privilege doesn't apply. When obstruction of justice is involved, when illegal conduct is involved, you can't claim executive privilege. So
do you think this is grounds then for a separate article of impeachment on obstruction of Congress if these administration officials do not show?
I do, but I think more broadly...
do you think that'll happen?
I do, and Chairman Schiff has said that obstruction is going to be one of the things we consider in impeachment. But I think more broadly what this is telling the American public is that this administration has something to hide. Every person who has testified, according to public record, has corroborated the story and showed that it wasn't just one phone call. There was a scheme for months to get dirt on Joe Biden, and military aid was withheld. And I think the White House knows that everyone who testifies hurts their case.
I talked about this morning on the Today Show, that House Democrats, yourself, others, have made the argument that all the information the whistleblower gave in that initial complaint has now been largely corroborated by these other witnesses that have come forward in these closed-door depositions. If this person does want to answer written questions to Republicans, to be able to bypass the Democrats and say, okay, your complaint is that Democrats are controlling too much, I will answer written questions from you, Devin Nunes, directly if you want, or your staffers. Can you get behind that?
I support that. Look, I don't think this should be about the whistleblower other than protecting his or her identity. We have enough facts to make the case. The whistleblower was a patriot who sounded the warning bells, and his or her identity should be protected. Now there are many, many people who have testified, and the president has admitted that he pressured Zelensky to investigate and dig up dirt on Joe Biden.
If open impeachment hearings are set to begin next week, I think the House rules require 7 days notice, which means that we would need to know at some point this week if those open hearings are going to happen. You think they will next week?
I think they're going to happen before Thanksgiving. I don't know whether it's going to be next week or
a few weeks to go. I mean, that's...
I think they will happen before Thanksgiving, and I think the goal is to wrap this up by the end of the year.
Well, let me ask you about that, because I know you and I have talked about this before. You have said you want to wrap this up by the end of the year. If public hearings don't start until before Thanksgiving, let's say end of November, how is it possible, realistically, that this thing does not go into 2020? Because it sure seems like it's heading that way.
It may go a few weeks, but I think it's not going to require a lot of testimony. My sense is you put Ambassador Taylor out there, you have a few of these people testify publicly, and the facts are going to be obvious that this president abused his office by pressuring Zelensky and threatening to withhold aid unless Zelensky had a public investigation on Joe Biden. And by the way, Joe Biden coincidentally happened to be leading the polls and still is leading the polls against this president.
You mentioned Ambassador Taylor specifically as somebody you would like to see in a public hearing. Is there anybody else you think the public would need to hear from themselves in order for Democrats to make their case?
I think Ambassador Taylor would be the most compelling. I think Lieutenant Colonel Vindman would be very compelling.
Do you think he will appear publicly?
I don't know, but I hope he does. I think he's been awarded the Purple Heart. He has no political agenda. He's a true patriot, as is Ambassador Taylor. I mean, Ambassador Taylor was a Republican, and some of these people, based on the public reporting, would be factual. They'd be believable. They have no gripe against the president, and they would show what happened.
This impeachment inquiry is really a two-pronged thing, right? Because on the one hand, you're looking to get support in the House to impeach and remove the president and to hold this vote, and ultimately the Senate. On the other side of it, though, you're looking for public support in this, I imagine.
Sure.
You're not doing something you don't want the public behind. But Republicans, especially in the Senate, are also looking for public support for what they're doing. And there's new Washington Post reporting that a growing number of them are looking at maybe acknowledging, sure, there was a quid pro quo, but you know what? It wasn't impeachable. It doesn't rise to corrupt intent. It turns on intent and motive, and they're arguing the president did not have an illegal or negative or malicious intent or motive. Do you think that could be compelling to voters who are looking at this going, hey, is there a there?
I'm perfectly happy to have that debate with the Senate Republicans. I mean, basically what they're saying is that a president of the United States can threaten to withhold military aid from a foreign leader if that foreign leader doesn't investigate their political rival. And they don't think that's impeachable. I think it is. And let's have that debate with this country. Do we want to set that precedent that any political candidate can go and pressure foreign leaders to dig up dirt on their opponents? I think most Americans are going to say that's absurd. Of course that is impeachable.
Congressman Khanna, thank you very much for being on set. I appreciate it. Think of the folks there in Northern California dealing with those wildfires, too.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being on.